Welcome to Time Well Spent, a podcast from LaborSync, the only real-time multilingual timesheet software your business will ever need. So we've all been there. That feeling you get when a new client slowly turns into this black hole that just sucks up all your time, your money, and, well, your sanity.
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we want to help you just bypass that completely. We're going to get into the LaborSync blog article on this because it shows how these risky clients aren't just bad luck. They actually follow really predictable patterns.
That's the key, They are predictable. And what's fascinating is how universal these red flags are. It doesn't matter if you're in construction, consulting, landscaping.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. The signs are there if you know what you're looking for.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we start? What's one of the first, maybe more subtle signs? The article mentions these geographic red flags.
Yeah, this one's interesting. It's really about that first phone call. If a potential client calls you from, say, way outside your normal service area, you have to pause.
Why, though? Maybe they just heard you do great work.
Maybe. But more often than not, it means they might have already burned through every single qualified provider in their own area.
I see. So they're not choosing you for quality. They're calling you out of desperation.
Exactly. They're exporting their problem right to your doorstep. You have to ask yourself, if they're willing to ignore geography, what else are they willing to ignore?
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so say they pass that test, they're local. The next conversation is always about money.
Always. And how they talk about money is, well, it's a huge tell.
What should you be listening for?
A good client is curious about value. They'll ask things like, okay, can you walk me through your process? Or what's included in that rate?
They're trying to understand what they're paying for.
Right. The problem client, on the other hand, their first question is almost always, what's the absolute cheapest you can do this for?
Or they act completely shocked at a standard industry price.
Yes. And that immediately tells you they don't value your expertise. To them, you're just a commodity.
And that disrespect, it probably shows up in their communication style, too.
Oh, it's immediate. You'll see a lot of evasion, a lot of pushiness. Think about the client who calls and says they need a simple renovation done next week.
Right. But they have no plans, no measurements, no permits.
Nothing. They confuse their own urgency with actual importance, and they expect you to fix their lack of planning. It's a huge red flag.
So how do you protect yourself from this? You can't just rely on a gut feeling.
You can't. You need formal policies.
Yeah.
Business hygiene, basically. And the number one screening tool, without a doubt, is requiring a significant upfront payment.
Like 25, maybe 50%.
At least. It's a financial gut check. It immediately filters out the people who aren't serious.
The tire kickers.
Tire kickers, exactly. The article had a great example of a consulting firm that started charging a small deposit just to create a detailed proposal.
And what happened?
Their close rate actually went up. They were only spending time on clients who were already committed.
Okay, so the deposit is secured. How do you keep the project from derailing from there? Because that can still happen.
Absolutely. This is where you need rock-solid documentation of the scope, and you have another gut check moment when you walk them through your process and payment schedule.
You're watching their reaction?
You're watching their reaction. Do they ask smart questions to understand it better? Or do they immediately try to negotiate every single boundary you set that tells you everything?
So let's talk about the ones that get through the cracks, the ones that end up costing way more than they pay. The article breaks them down into types.
It does. First, you have your time vampires.
I think I know a few of those.
We all do. They're the ones who need constant hand-holding daily check-ins for a weekly task. They just drain your team's energy.
And then there's the classic scope creeper.
Ah, yes. The master of the phrase, while you're here, or just one more small thing.
Without any mention of adjusting the budget or the timeline, of course.
Of course. And finally, you've got the payment problem clients. And this isn't just someone who's a little disorganized, it's often a control tactic.
What do you mean?
Think of the client in the article, the landscaper's client, who said he'd only pay when the job looks right.
Oh, wow. It's a trap.
It's a complete trap. It gives them total veto power over your payment. You can never, ever agree to terms like that.
So the biggest takeaway here is really don't ignore these patterns just because you need the work. Sticking to your process, especially on payment, builds respect.
It really does. Smart vetting isn't about being cynical. It's about protecting your time, reducing your stress, and letting you focus on the clients who are actually a pleasure to work with.
This episode of Time Well Spent was brought to you by LaborSync. Track employee hours and job site locations in real time from any device. Start your risk-free trial today at laborsync.com.